The massive chamber of the Galactic Council stretched high above Captain Jack Sullivan's head. Smooth metal walls curved upward like the inside of an egg, glowing with soft blue light. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in floating seats arranged in perfect circles. Each species had its own section, marked by colorful banners and strange symbols. Jack stood next to Ambassador Lisa Morgan on the human platform. It was small and plain compared to the others. Their gray uniforms looked dull next to the shimmering robes and biosuits of the alien delegates. Lisa's hand shook slightly as she held Earth's application documents. "The Council will now hear the humans' request for full membership," announced a mechanical voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Ambassador Zeltron of the Arcturian Empire rose from his seat. His tall, thin body moved with unnatural grace. His pale blue skin seemed to glow under the chamber lights. 3 eyes blinked one after another as he looked down at the human platform. "We have reviewed Earth's application," Zeltron said. His voice was cold and sharp like breaking glass. The decision was quite simple. Jack felt Lisa tense beside him. They had worked for years to reach this moment. Humanity had finally developed faster than light travel. They had established colonies on 3 planets. They had made peaceful contact with 12 alien species. Surely it was enough. Zeltron waved one of his 4 arms dismissively. "The Galactic Council finds humanity unqualified for full membership." Whispers filled the chamber. Some aliens made clicking sounds that might have been laughter. Others simply stared with what looked like pity. "But we meet all the requirements," Lisa said, stepping forward. "Our technology level, our unified government, our peaceful intentions." "Your technology," Zeltron interrupted. "You call those primitive fusion drives technology. Your ships move like wounded slugs through space. Your weapons are children's toys. Your medical science cannot even prevent your own cellular decay." More laughter echoed through the chamber. Jack's face burned with anger, but he kept his expression neutral. Military training had taught him to hide his emotions. "Furthermore," Zeltron continued, "your species shows signs of severe genetic limitations. Your lifespans are pathetically short. Your physical forms are fragile. Your mental capacity is adequate at best." Council member Vexillar from the Centauri Collective stood up. Her insect-like features twitched as she spoke. "The humans are barely evolved primates. They still engage in tribal conflicts on their homeworld. They pollute their own atmosphere. They cannot even agree on basic scientific facts among themselves." "That's not fair," Lisa protested. "Every species had growing pains. We've made tremendous progress in the last century." "Progress?" Zeltron's 3 eyes narrowed. "You discovered fire only 10,000 years ago. Most council species were traveling between stars when your ancestors were living in caves." Jack watched as other council members nodded in agreement. The Saurian delegate's scales shifted to a mocking yellow color. The crystalline beings from Andromeda chimed in harmonious disapproval. "However," Zeltron said with false kindness, "we are not without mercy. The Council will grant humanity observer status." "Observer status?" Lisa's voice cracked. "But that means..." "It means you may attend Council meetings but not vote. You may travel within designated trade routes but not explore freely. You may access basic galactic technology but not advanced systems. You may speak when spoken to but not initiate formal proposals." The restrictions hit like physical blows. Observer status was barely better than quarantine. It would keep humanity trapped at the edge of galactic society for generations. "This is our final decision," Zeltron declared. "Perhaps in 1,000 years, if your species survives that long, you may apply again." The council chamber erupted in agreement. Alien voices merged into a chorus of approval. The mechanical systems recorded the decision with a series of electronic tones. Jack put his hand on Lisa's shoulder as she fought back tears of frustration. They had failed. Earth had failed. Humanity's dream of joining the galactic community as equals had been crushed. As they turned to leave, Zeltron called out one final insult. "Do try not to destroy yourselves before your next application. The galaxy has enough dead civilizations already. The chamber doors closed behind them with a heavy thud. In the corridor outside, Lisa finally let her tears fall. Jack stared straight ahead, memorizing every detail of this humiliation. "They'll regret this," he said quietly. Lisa wiped her eyes. "How can you be sure?" Jack smiled grimly. "Because humans have one talent the Council doesn't understand. We never forget. And we never give up." 5 years had passed since the humiliation at the Galactic Council. The red dust of Mars swirled around Dr. Emma Carter as she knelt beside a strange rock formation. Her gloved hands carefully brushed away layers of ancient soil. The other members of her team worked nearby, their white suits standing out against the rusty landscape. "Dr. Carter, you need to see this," called out her assistant, a young geologist named Sam Brooks. Emma stood up and walked over to where Sam was pointing. In the fading afternoon light, she could see something metallic gleaming beneath the Martian surface. It wasn't natural. The edges were too straight, too perfect. "Get Lieutenant Phillips," Emma said, her heart racing. "Tell him we found something." Within minutes, Lieutenant Dan Phillips arrived with 3 security officers. The military had insisted on protecting all Mars excavation sites after some equipment had gone missing last year. Dan was a serious man who rarely smiled, but even he looked excited now. "What do we have, Doctor?" Dan asked, scanning the area with his helmet sensors. "It's artificial. Definitely not human-made," Emma replied. "Look at these markings. They're not like anything we've seen before." The team worked through the night, carefully removing layers of rock and soil. Powerful lights illuminated their discovery as the Martian sky turned black. What emerged was a doorway, 12 feet tall, and covered in symbols that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. "Should we report this to Earth?" Sam asked nervously. Emma thought about the Council's restrictions. Observer status meant humans had to report all significant discoveries to the galactic authorities first. But something told her this was different. "Not yet," she decided. "Let's see what's inside first." Dan's security team set up a perimeter while Emma's scientists worked on opening the door. It took 3 days of careful study before they found the activation sequence. When the door finally slid open with a soft hiss, they stared into a corridor that stretched deep underground. "Oxygen atmosphere inside," reported Dr. Mike Chen, checking his instruments. "Temperature is steady at 20 degrees Celsius. It's like this place was waiting for us." They entered cautiously, weapons ready, sensors scanning everything. The corridor led to a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures. In the center stood a pedestal holding what looked like a sphere of liquid metal. "Don't touch anything," Dan warned, but Emma was already drawn to the sphere. As she approached, the sphere began to glow. Symbols appeared in the air around it, similar to those on the door but more complex. Emma's scientific scanner started recording automatically. "It's some kind of computer," she whispered. "But the technology, it's beyond anything I've ever seen." Suddenly, the sphere projected images into the air. Star maps, technical diagrams, mathematical formulas that made Emma's head spin. She recognized some concepts from theoretical physics, but most were completely alien. "This is bigger than we thought," Dan said quietly. "Much bigger." Over the next weeks, they explored deeper into the underground complex. They found manufacturing bays with half-built machines, libraries of crystalline data storage, and power sources that defied known physics. Carbon dating suggested the facility was over 50,000 years old, yet everything still worked perfectly. "Whoever built this place," Emma told her team, "they were more advanced than any current council species, maybe more advanced than all of them combined." The most significant discovery came in the deepest chamber. A massive holographic display showed the history of the facility's builders. They called themselves the architects, and they had seeded technology throughout the galaxy before mysteriously disappearing. "Look at this," Dr. Chen pointed to a section of the display. "They left this cache specifically for a younger species to find." There's a message here. Emma studied the translation her computer provided. It says, "For those who come after, use this knowledge wisely. The stars belong to all who dare to reach them." "The Council can't know about this," Dan said firmly. "They'd take it all away from us." Emma nodded. "We need to get this information back to Earth. Secretly. If we can understand even a fraction of this technology, we could change everything." Sam finished. They began the careful process of documenting and copying all the data they could. Every night, encrypted transmissions sent information back to Earth's most secure facilities. President John Baker and General Kate Adams were briefed daily on the discoveries. 3 months after the initial discovery, Emma stood in the main chamber, watching her team work. They had found blueprints for faster-than-light engines that made Council technology look primitive. Energy weapons that could tear through any known shielding. Medical devices that could extend human lifespan threefold. "The Council thought we were primitive," Emma said to Dan. "They're about to learn how wrong they were." Dan smiled, the first time Emma had seen him do so. "They wanted to keep us down. Instead, they've given us the motivation to leap ahead." As Mars' 2 moons rose in the night sky, humanity's destiny quietly shifted. The discovery would remain secret for now, but its effects would soon shake the entire galaxy. 10 years of secret work had changed everything. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, President John Baker walked through humanity's most classified facility. General Kate Adams stayed close beside him, explaining each new development. "This is where we build the new engines," Kate said, gesturing to a massive underground factory. Workers in protective suits assembled devices that glowed with strange energy. Dr. Carter's team figured out how to adapt the architect technology to our ships. John watched as a test engine powered up. The air seemed to bend around it, creating ripples in space itself. "How fast?" "Our latest ships can cross the galaxy in days. The Council's fastest vessels take months," Kate replied with satisfaction. Chief Engineer Tom Rodriguez calls it the Void Drive. They moved to the weapons testing area. Behind thick, transparent aluminum walls, scientists fired beams of crackling energy at various targets. Metal plates that could withstand nuclear blasts melted like butter. Force fields that copied Council shield technology shattered instantly. "The architects called these stellar lances," Kate explained. "They draw power directly from subspace. No known defense can stop them." In the medical wing, doctors tested healing devices on volunteer soldiers. Wounds closed in seconds. Diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries vanished at the touch of a small silver rod. One researcher demonstrated a cellular regenerator that reversed aging damage. "We can extend human lifespan to over 300 years now," said Dr. Amy Park, the chief medical officer. "The Council species won't be calling us short-lived anymore." The shipyards on the dark side of the moon held the most impressive sight. Row after row of sleek warships floated in zero gravity, their hulls made from a metal alloy found in the architect databases. Each ship bristled with weapons and shimmered with advanced shielding. "The fleet is almost ready," reported Admiral Susan Taylor. 200 ships, each one capable of defeating an entire Council battle group. Tom Rodriguez joined them at the observation window. His team had worked without rest to build these vessels in complete secrecy. The ship designs combine human creativity with architect technology. "We didn't just copy their blueprints. We improved them." "What about detection?" John asked. "The Council has monitoring stations throughout the solar system." Tom smiled. "That's the beautiful part. The ships use a stealth system we developed from the architect files. We call it Ghost Mode. When activated, our ships are invisible to all known sensors." Training facilities across Earth and its colonies pushed the limits of human enhancement. Soldiers learned to use powered armor that increased their strength 20-fold. Pilots merged their minds with ship computers through neural interfaces. Scientists expanded their mental capacity using architect learning devices. "We're not just building weapons," Kate told John during a private meeting. "We're evolving as a species. Every human is becoming more than we were." The Council wanted us to stay primitive, John mused. Instead, their rejection pushed us to leap ahead centuries in a single decade. Not everything went smoothly. 3 test pilots died when an experimental drive overloaded. A weapons accident destroyed a research station on Europa. Some enhanced soldiers experienced dangerous side effects that required months of treatment. But humanity pressed on. Every setback led to improvements. Every failure taught valuable lessons. The spirit of determination that the Council had mocked became humanity's greatest strength. Lisa Morgan, now Earth's intelligence director, maintained the secrecy. Her agents spread false information about human activities. They staged fake accidents to explain disappearing resources. They even allowed Council spies to steal outdated technology to maintain the illusion of primitive humans. Let them think we're still crawling, Lisa told her team. When we finally stand up, they won't know what hit them. By the 10th anniversary of the Mars discovery, humanity had transformed completely. Citizens lived longer, healthier lives. Colonies expanded using advanced terraforming. Education systems used architect teaching methods to create geniuses. Most importantly, Earth's military had become the most powerful force in the galaxy, though no one knew it yet. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier represented a fusion of human innovation and ancient wisdom. In his office, John received daily reports from all sectors. Food production had tripled using new agricultural methods. Energy problems had vanished with the advent of zero-point generators. Even social issues decreased as prosperity spread. "We're ready," Kate told him after another successful fleet exercise. "The question is, ready for what?" John looked at the stars through his window. Somewhere out there, the Council continued their meetings, unaware of the transformation happening in the solar system they had dismissed as backward. "We'd wait," John decided. "The universe has a way of providing opportunities. When the time comes, humanity will be prepared." The great transformation was complete. Humanity had not just caught up to the Council species, they had surpassed them in every measurable way. The rejected primitives had become the galaxy's most advanced civilization, hidden in plain sight. Soon, very soon, the Council would learn the price of their arrogance. The first reports came from the edge of known space. Admiral Susan Taylor stood in Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Center, watching the data streams with growing concern. Her staff worked quietly at their stations, tracking something that shouldn't exist. "Play the Vega Colony transmission again," Susan ordered. The main screen flickered to life. A terrified Draconian commander appeared, his reptilian features twisted in fear. Behind him, explosions lit up the sky. "This is Vega Station to all Council forces. We are under attack by unknown hostiles. They came from dark space. Hundreds of ships. Our weapons do nothing. They're consuming everything. The planets, the stations, even our ships. Send help. Send." The transmission cut to static. Susan had watched it 12 times, and it still sent chills down her spine. "Show me the Centauri battle," she said. Another screen activated. Council warships, the pride of the Centauri Collective, fired desperately at massive black vessels. The enemy ships looked like twisted metal squids, with tentacles that reached out and grabbed Council vessels. Where they touched, the Council ships simply dissolved into dust. "The Devourers," whispered Lieutenant Paul Martinez. "That's what the survivors are calling them." "How many systems have fallen?" Susan asked. 17 in the last month, Paul replied. "The Council is pulling back their fleets, but it's not helping. These things adapt to every weapon, every tactic." Susan watched as the mighty Arcturian fleet, led by Ambassador Zeltron's own flagship, tried to make a stand at the Rigel system. Their advanced shields lasted mere seconds. Their plasma cannons, which the Council had boasted about for centuries, barely scratched the Devourer hulls. "Look at this," Paul zoomed in on one battle. "The Devourers are literally eating the planets. They break them down at the molecular level and convert the matter into more ships. How long before they reach the Council core worlds?" Susan asked. At their current speed, 3 months. Maybe less. The monitoring center tracked every council transmission. Panic spread through their communications. Species that had looked down on humanity now begged for help from anyone who would listen. In the council chambers, chaos reigned. Susan watched the live feed as Ambassador Zeltron tried to maintain order. His usual arrogance had vanished, replaced by visible fear. "We must combine all our forces," Zeltron shouted. "Every ship, every weapon." "Our combined fleets have already failed 3 times, argued the Saurian delegate. "These devourers are beyond our technology." Council member Vexlar's antenna trembled. "Perhaps we should evacuate the galaxy." "There's nowhere to run," said the Andromedan representative. Long-range probes showed devourer activity in neighboring galaxies too. "This is a universal threat." Susan turned to her analysis team. "What do we know about their technology?" Dr. Grace Kim, the lead researcher, pulled up her findings. "The devourers use a form of energy manipulation we've never seen in council tech. But," she paused meaningfully, "some of their principles match what we found in the Architect database." "You mean we might have weapons that could work against them?" "It's possible. The architects seem to know about threats like this. There are whole sections in their files about cosmic devourers and how to fight them." Susan immediately called President Baker. "Sir, the council is losing badly. These devourers are unlike anything they've faced." "How long can the council hold out?" John asked. "Not long. They're already talking about abandoning the outer colonies. Billions of lives will be lost. And our own defenses. Thanks to the architect technology, we're better prepared than the council. But if these things consume the entire galaxy, eventually they'll find Earth too." The next week brought worse news. The devourers had accelerated their advance. 3 major council fleets had been completely destroyed. Refugee ships poured into the core systems, overwhelming local resources. Susan watched footage from the Battle of Kepler Prime. 50 council dreadnoughts faced a single devourer mothership. The fight lasted exactly 4 minutes. The council ships vanished like soap bubbles, while the devourer emerged unscathed. "They're learning," Hall noted. "Each battle, they adapt faster. The council's weapons are becoming less effective by the day." In desperation, the council tried everything. They detonated stars to destroy devourer fleets. They created artificial black holes as traps. They even attempted to negotiate. Nothing worked. The devourers consumed all matter and energy they encountered, growing stronger with each victory. "Admiral," called out a sensor operator, "we're detecting council ships entering our system." Susan frowned. "Military vessels?" "No, ma'am. Diplomatic transports. They're requesting permission to approach Earth." She shared a knowing look with Paul. They both understood what this meant. The proud Galactic Council, the same body that had humiliated humanity, was coming to ask for help. "Let them come," Susan said, "but make them wait in orbit. After all, we're just primitive observers, right?" As the council ships approached Earth, Susan smiled grimly. The galaxy faced extinction, and humanity held the only cards that mattered. The tables had turned completely. The council delegation waited in Earth's orbit for 3 full days. Ambassador Zeltron paced the deck of his diplomatic ship, his 3 eyes blinking rapidly with frustration. Through the viewports, he could see Earth's defense platforms, sleek and mysterious. They looked nothing like the primitive stations the council had recorded years ago. "Why do they make us wait?" complained council member Vexlar. Her antennae drooped with exhaustion. "Every hour, more systems fall to the devourers." "They're making a point," said Ambassador Theron of the Pleiadians. "Remember how we treated them." Finally, a message arrived. "The United Earth government will receive you now. Follow the escort ships." 2 human vessels appeared alongside the council ship. Zeltron studied them carefully. The design was unfamiliar, the energy signatures impossible. These were not the slow, clumsy ships from the council's files. The delegation landed at the New Geneva complex. Human guards in advanced armor escorted them to the Grand Assembly Hall. Zeltron noticed their weapons, sleek devices that hummed with contained power. Everything about Earth seemed different, more advanced. Inside the hall, President John Baker sat at the center of a curved table. General Kate Adams stood at his right, Admiral Susan Taylor at his left. But Zeltron's three eyes fixed on the person directly facing him, Ambassador Lisa Morgan. The same woman he had humiliated 15 years ago now looked at him with calm confidence. She wore a simple blue uniform that somehow radiated authority. Her eyes held no anger, only patience. Ambassador Zeltron, Lisa said formally, "Welcome to Earth." Zeltron swallowed his pride. Billions of lives depended on this moment. Ambassador Morgan, President Baker, we come to request assistance. Please, sit. John gestured to the empty chairs. Tell us about your situation. The council members took their seats. Zeltron activated a holographic display showing the Devourer advance. Red dots consumed green systems in real time. The enemy appeared 2 months ago, Zeltron began. They've destroyed 43 systems. Our fleets are powerless. Our weapons, he paused, the words difficult to say. Our weapons are inadequate. You've tried everything, Kate asked. Everything, Vexlar confirmed. Antimatter bombs, singularity weapons, even forbidden nanotechnology. Nothing stops them. They adapt, they consume, they grow stronger. Lisa leaned forward. And now you come to us. The primitive humans, the barely evolved primates. Zeltron's blue skin darkened with shame. We were wrong. We see that now. Do you? Lisa's voice remained steady. 15 years ago, you called us unworthy. You mocked our technology, our lifespan, our potential. You gave us observer status like throwing scraps to beggars. The galaxy is dying. Vexlar burst out. This is no time for recriminations. John raised his hand for silence. What exactly do you want from humanity? Zeltron stood, his tall frame bending in an unfamiliar gesture. He lowered his head in what, for his species, was a deep bow. We ask for your help. We offer full council membership, technology exchanges, territory rights, anything you desire. You assume we need your technology, Susan said with a slight smile. The council members exchanged confused looks. Theron spoke carefully. Surely you want access to council science, our medical advances, our star charts. Show them, John said simply. The hall's walls became transparent. Outside, the council delegation could see row after row of human warships. Each vessel was larger and more advanced than anything in the council fleet. Energy readings made their portable scanners overload. Impossible, Zeltron whispered. How did you? While you were judging us, Lisa explained. We were working. While you were laughing at our primitive nature, we were discovering things you couldn't imagine. Kate activated another display. It showed human medical technology healing injuries instantly, human drives folding space like paper, human weapons cutting through captured Devourer material. You can hurt them, Vexlar asked in amazement. We believe so, John confirmed. Our technology operates on principles the Devourers haven't encountered. Zeltron's legs trembled. For the first time in his long life, he felt truly humbled. The species he had dismissed as worthless held the only hope for galactic survival. What must we do? He asked quietly. Lisa stood and walked around the table. She stopped before Zeltron, looking up at the tall alien who had once towered over her with contempt. Kneel, she said simply. Zeltron's three eyes widened. No Arcturian had ever knelt to another species. But the weight of necessity crushed his pride. Slowly, he lowered himself to his knees. The other council members, seeing no alternative, did the same. We beg for your forgiveness, Zeltron said, the words tearing at his very being. We beg for your help. Without humanity, we are lost. Lisa looked at John, who nodded slightly. The moment they had waited 15 years for had arrived. The Galactic Council knelt before humanity, begging for the salvation they didn't deserve. "We will discuss your request," Lisa said formally. "Wait here for our decision." As the human leaders left the hall, Zeltron remained on his knees, finally understanding the terrible price of arrogance. The human leaders gathered in the secure conference room. Outside, the council delegation still waited on their knees. The weight of the decision pressed down on everyone present. Secretary of Defense Bill Jackson spoke first. His face was hard, his voice cold. "Let them burn." The room fell silent. Bill stood and walked to the window, looking out at the kneeling aliens. "They laughed at us. They called us primitives. They kept us caged with their observer status. Now they want our help. Billions of innocent lives are at stake," said Dr. Helen Foster. The humanitarian advocate had rushed to the meeting when she heard about the council's visit. Not everyone in those systems supported the council's decision about Earth. Bill turned to face her. Their governments did. Their leaders did. They all benefited from keeping humanity down. "Children are dying out there," Helen pressed. "Families are being consumed by these monsters. Can we really stand by and watch genocide happen?" General Kate Adams cleared her throat. "From a military perspective, we need to consider the long-term implications. If the devourers consume the galaxy, they'll eventually reach Earth. We can defend ourselves," Bill argued. "Our technology is superior. Let the Council face the consequences of their choices." President John Baker had remained quiet, listening to both sides. Now he leaned forward. "Captain Sullivan, you were there 15 years ago. What's your view?" Jack Sullivan, now promoted to Commodore, stood up. His years of service showed in his graying hair, but his eyes remained sharp. "I wanted revenge too. For years, I dreamed of this moment." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "But revenge and justice aren't the same thing. We have the power to save lives. The question is, what kind of species do we want to be?" "They wouldn't save us," Bill insisted. "Probably not," Jack agreed. "But we're not them. We're better. We proved that by advancing despite their restrictions. Now we can prove it by showing mercy." Lisa Morgan raised her hand. "There's another consideration. If we save them, we change the galactic order forever. Humanity becomes the dominant power. We reshape the Council in our image." "You mean we could demand real changes?" Kate asked. "Complete restructuring," Lisa confirmed. "Equal representation for all species. Technology sharing. No more hierarchies based on how long a species has been in space." Dr. Helen Foster seized on this point. "We could create a truly united galaxy, one based on cooperation, not condescension." Bill shook his head. "They'll resent us. They'll plot against us the moment the threat passes." "Maybe," John said finally. "But isn't that the risk of doing the right thing?" He stood and walked to the center of the room. "We've all dreamed of this moment. The Council on their knees, begging for our help. It would be easy to let them suffer." He looked at each person in turn. "But we discovered the architect technology. We advanced beyond anyone's imagination. We have the power to save the galaxy. If we don't use it, are we any better than they were?" "Children," Helen repeated softly. "Remember the children." Jack spoke again. "I say we help, but on our terms. Complete reformation of the Council. Humanity leads the new alliance, and they acknowledge publicly what they did to us." "Make them eat their words," Kate suggested with a grim smile. "Exactly," Lisa agreed. "They called us primitives. Now we save them and reshape their entire civilization. That's better than revenge." Bill sighed heavily. "I still think we're making a mistake, but I'll support whatever decision you make, Mr. President." John nodded. "Let's vote. All in favor of helping the Council, with conditions." Hands rose around the table. Even Bill, reluctantly, raised his hand. "It's decided then," John announced. "We'll save them, but they'll never forget who did the saving. As they prepared to return to the hall, Helen touched John's arm. "Thank you. This is what makes us human. Not our technology, but our choice to help even those who wronged us." "Let's hope we don't regret it," Bill muttered. Jack smiled slightly. "Oh, they'll regret it. Every time they see a human ship protecting their worlds, every time they use technology we share, every time they sit in a council led by humans. They'll remember what they almost lost through their arrogance." The debate was over. Humanity had chosen mercy over vengeance. Now came the harder task: saving a galaxy that had once rejected them, and reshaping it in a better image. The leaders filed out of the room, ready to deliver their decision to the kneeling council members. History was about to change forever. Admiral Susan Taylor stood on the bridge of the flagship Prometheus. Around her, 200 human vessels prepared for the largest battle in galactic history. The Devourers had reached the Andromeda sector, threatening 3 billion lives across 12 inhabited worlds. "All ships report ready," announced Commander Pete Wilson. His tactical display showed the human fleet arranged in a formation never seen before, based on architect battle strategies. "Council forces?" Susan asked. "What's left of them are holding position behind us," Pete replied. "They're down to 30 ships. All damage." Through the view screen, Susan could see the approaching Devourer fleet. Hundreds of black vessels, each one larger than a city, moved through space like a plague of locusts. Their tentacles reached out hungrily toward the inhabited planets. "This is Admiral Taylor to all ships," Susan broadcast. "Today, we show the galaxy what humanity has become. Execute Battle Plan Omega." The human fleet surged forward. Captain Maria Sanchez led the vanguard in the destroyer Rising Phoenix, her ship's void drive activated, folding space around it. In an instant, she appeared behind the Devourer formation. "Stellar lances firing," Maria reported. Beams of pure energy, drawn from subspace itself, struck the Devourer ships. For the first time, the enemy vessels showed damage. Their hulls cracked, their tentacles writhed in what might have been pain. "They can be hurt," cheered a council observer on the communication channel. But the Devourers adapted quickly. Their ships changed configuration, growing new armor that partially deflected the human weapons. They turned toward the human fleet with frightening speed. "Activate Ghost Mode," Susan ordered. Half the human ships vanished from all sensors, including the Devourers. The enemy vessels fired blindly, their weapons hitting empty space. Pete coordinated the attack with precision. "Strike Groups Alpha through Delta. Execute pincer movement. Group Echo. Target their command ship." The battle raged across the star system. Human ships appeared and disappeared like phantoms, striking hard before fading away. The Devourers fought back viciously, their tentacles grabbing any ship they could catch. The destroyer Liberty's Call was caught by 3 tentacles at once. Its crew watched in horror as their hull began to dissolve. "Emergency void jump," shouted the captain. The ship's drive activated just in time, tearing free from the tentacles, but leaving part of its outer hull behind. Susan noticed a pattern in the Devourer movements. "They're protecting that large vessel in the center." "Pete, is that their command ship?" Analyzing, Pete studied his displays. "Yes, energy readings suggest it's coordinating the others." "All ships, new target," Susan commanded. "Concentrate fire on the command vessel." The human fleet converged on the massive Devourer flagship. It was 3 times larger than the others, with dozens of tentacles and weapon ports. Council ships watched in amazement as human vessels danced around its attacks. Captain Maria Sanchez took point again. "Phoenix Squadron, with me. We're going straight down its throat." "That's suicide," warned a council admiral. But Maria knew something they didn't. The architect files had revealed a weakness. "Trust human engineering," she replied. Her squadron dove directly at the command ship's main weapon port. Devourer energy beams fired, but the human shields held, reinforced by architect technology. At the last second, the squadron released specialized missiles. Quantum torpedoes away, Maria announced. The missiles phased through the Devourer's armor and detonated inside. The command ship shuddered, its tentacles spasming wildly. Cracks appeared across its surface, leaking strange energy. Their coordination is breaking down, Pete reported. The other ships are confused. Susan seized the moment. All ships, maximum firepower. Take them down. The human fleet unleashed everything they had. Stellar lances, quantum torpedoes, antimatter charges, and weapons the Council couldn't even identify filled space with destructive energy. Without their command ship, the Devourers fell into chaos. One by one, the mighty Devourer vessels broke apart. Some tried to flee, but human ships pursued them relentlessly. Within hours, the entire enemy fleet was destroyed. "We did it," Pete said in disbelief. "We actually did it." Susan looked at the tactical display. Not a single inhabited world had been lost. Human casualties were minimal, just 17 ships damaged, none destroyed. The Council observers were speechless. "This is Admiral Taylor to all Council forces," Susan broadcast. "The Andromeda sector is secure. The Devourer threat in this region has been eliminated." The response came from Ambassador Zultron himself, watching from a safe distance. How is this possible? Your technology, your tactics. "This is what happens when you let humans reach their potential," Susan replied simply. As news of the victory spread, the remaining Devourer fleets across the galaxy began to retreat. They had finally encountered a force they couldn't consume or adapt to. Humanity had turned the tide of war in a single battle. The age of human protection had begun. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council looked different now. The old circular arrangement had been replaced with a design that gave equal space to all species. At the center stood a new podium where the Council President would preside. Today, that position would be filled for the first time by a human. Ambassador Zultron entered the chamber slowly. His once proud posture was humbled, his 3 eyes downcast. He wore simple robes instead of his elaborate ceremonial garments. Other council members followed, each showing similar signs of changed attitudes. At the front of the chamber, the human delegation waited. President John Baker, Admiral Susan Taylor, General Kate Adams, and Captain Jack Sullivan stood in formal uniforms. But all eyes were on Ambassador Lisa Morgan, who would soon take the oath as the first human council president. "The ceremony will now begin," announced the chamber's AI system. John Baker stepped forward. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council faced extinction. The Devourer threat would have consumed every world, every species, every life in this galaxy. You came to Earth, to the humans you had dismissed as primitives, and asked for our help. He paused, letting his words sink in. "We chose to help, not because we had to, but because it was right. Our fleets saved your worlds. Our technology stopped the Devourers. Our sacrifice preserved galactic civilization. And now," John continued, "we reshape that civilization. The old council is dissolved. In its place, we establish the United Galactic Alliance, where all species are equal, where technology is shared, where no one is dismissed as primitive." Ambassador Zultron stepped forward. The moment had come for his formal apology. He knelt before the assembly, his tall frame bending low. "I, Zultron of Arcturus, former first speaker of the Galactic Council, confess our grave error. We judged humanity by their youth, not their potential. We mocked their ambition instead of nurturing it. We denied them their rightful place among the stars." His voice cracked with emotion. "The humans we called primitive saved us all. The technology we deemed inadequate surpassed our own. The species we rejected became our protectors. For this shame, for this blindness, I apologize to humanity and to history itself." One by one, other council members came forward. Each knelt, each apologized, each acknowledged humanity's superiority and wisdom. The ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy, ensuring every citizen witnessed this moment of humility. Finally, Lisa Morgan stepped to the presidential podium. She looked out at the assembled representatives, remembering her humiliation in this very chamber 20 years ago. "The United Galactic Alliance begins today," she declared. "No longer will species be ranked by age or technology. No longer will some serve as observers while others make decisions. Every voice will be heard. Every species will contribute." She activated a holographic display showing the new alliance structure. Human technology will be shared gradually, ensuring all species can advance safely. The Galactic Peacekeeping Force, led by Captain Sullivan, will protect all worlds equally. Education exchanges will spread knowledge freely. Medical advances will extend life for all species. Jack Sullivan stepped forward to announce the military restructuring. The Peacekeeping Force will integrate ships and personnel from all member species. Human officers will train alliance forces in our tactics and technology. Never again will the galaxy be caught unprepared. The chamber erupted in applause. Even former council members, despite their shame, felt hope for this new future. After the ceremony, Zeltron approached Lisa privately. "How do you not hate us?" he asked quietly. "After what we did to your people." Lisa smiled slightly. "Hate would make us like you were. We chose to be better. Besides, your rejection gave us the motivation to surpass you. In a way, we should thank you." Zeltron's 3 eyes blinked in confusion, then understanding. "You turned our insult into inspiration." "Exactly," Lisa confirmed. "And now we'll turn the galaxy's fear into hope." Across the galaxy, the changes took hold quickly. Human ships patrolled trade routes, keeping them safe. Human teachers shared knowledge in alien schools. Human doctors healed ancient diseases. The species once called primitive became beloved protectors and guides. The devourers never returned. Some said they fled to distant galaxies, warning others about the fierce humans who had defeated them. Others believed they simply ceased to exist, unable to comprehend a prey that had become the ultimate predator. In Earth's museums, the original rejection letter from the Galactic Council was preserved behind glass. School children read it and laughed, unable to imagine a time when anyone thought humans were primitive. The galaxy had learned its greatest lesson: never underestimate humanity. Those who mock human ambition only fuel it. Those who deny human potential only unleash it. And those who wrong humanity must eventually ask for forgiveness. The stars belonged to everyone now, but they were protected by human courage, guided by human wisdom, and united by human mercy. The new golden age had begun.